The Lakers trade into the NBA draft to land a shooter. The Clippers in the draft add to their G League team. And Freddie Freeman's homecoming looms while the Dodgers climb back in first place. Hi, I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is Faithful Angelenos. I do not have any time for jokes today, guys. It is what it is. It is June 24th, 2022. I want to thank the new subscriber who joined our broadcast. If you like the content that we've been putting out about LA sports for the last 4 months, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notifications bell. Hit that, because we put out videos usually between 9 and 10 and to let you know it's there. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And yes, comment. Because after all, there's a lot to talk about. Now, we're going to break down the NBA draft for all the local teams. We're going to talk Dodgers, Chargers, and Galaxy. But before we do, let's get to the scoreboard. The Dodgers, they swept Cincinnati. Yesterday's score, 10-5. I will grant you the Reds are the worst team in the National League, but the Dodgers are back alone in first place, so what do I care? In addition to that, Chicago knocked out the LA Sparks yesterday, 82-59. The Sparks slumped to 6-10. The Dodgers travel to Atlanta today. The game is at 4:20. Julio Urias, he is 4-6. He will pitch against Ian Anderson, who is 6-3. And the Sparks will probably take their 11th loss of the year. They travel up to Seattle. Game at 6 p.m. Tons of NBA stuff to talk about. Now, the Lakers didn't have a draft pick. So what they did, they sent cash and a future second-round pick to Orlando for pick 35. Now, you might be saying that's not really like landing a Christmas gift, but the Lakers actually have a lot of success with later picks. You think about Kyle Kuzma. You think about Ivica Zubac. You think Taylor Horton-Tucker, Alex Caruso, Austin Reeves. So you might want to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt. Now, having said that, they needed a forward or a center, and instead, with pick 35, they get a shooting guard, Max Christie, out of Michigan State. I do not want to say this is a bad pick, but I don't expect him to be contributing a lot early, not just from the draft status, but we'll get there in a moment. He was a one-and-done player for the Spartans out in Michigan State. He is considered good value for the spot, but where does he fit? He has a consistent shot. He apparently can develop into a three-point shooting specialist. Having said that, he was one and done. And in his one season for Michigan State, his performance regressed as the season went on. In the last 2 months of his freshman season, his shooting dropped all the way to 34%. So if you're saying you're all world in high school, and then you start to regress toward the end of the year in college, what does that mean for an 82-game NBA season? Do you see what I'm going? You see where I'm saying? Now, I mentioned he's a shooting guard, but most of the people reviewing the pick actually see him as a quote-unquote 3-and-D guy, which is somebody the Lakers actually needed. They just don't think he's going to be that much of a contributor as a rookie. In other news for the Lakers, Sharif O'Neal, Shaq's son, he has agreed to play for the Lakers in the Summer League. Obviously, it does not mean he has a roster spot. Now, we have been clowning these Kyrie Irving rumors for the last couple of days, but there is starting to become reason to believe that ember, not smoke and fire, but the ember might be spreading just a little bit. You see, he has allegedly submitted a list of 6 teams that he would like the Nets to trade him to if the Nets do not sign him to a contract extension. The Lakers are on the list, as are the Clippers. Now, I think we don't want to put a whole lot of stock into this because, again, when we were talking yesterday, if there was going to be a sign and trade, the Nets are going to want somebody back. And they're going to start with either Anthony Davis or Russell Westbrook's expiring contract. If it's Russell's expiring contract, of course you make that deal. But if it's Anthony Davis, I wouldn't make that deal. No way. Now, by the way, the other 4 teams on the list are the Knicks, Dallas, Miami, and Philadelphia. All 6 of those teams are currently over the salary cap. Meanwhile, with the Clippers, there were rumors that guard Luke Kennard is on the trading block. They wanted to trade him allegedly before the draft. It obviously didn't happen. He is a three-point shooting specialist. He led the NBA in sinking 44.9 threes last year. So a trade was not made. The Clippers are at 43. They needed a center. They needed a point guard. They also chose a one-and-done guy, a power forward, Moussa Diabate. I believe he's going pretty much straight to the G League. First of all, the Clippers, their roster is pretty much set, right? But having said that, the player himself is considered raw. He is considered a project with some defensive upside. That just tells me he needs to develop, and that he's going to go straight to G. That's just what it is. UCLA's Peyton Watson was the final pick of the first round. Denver made a trade with Oklahoma City to get that 30th pick, and they took him. We have very little information about Peyton Watson because he just basically came off the bench for the Bruins. He was not an impact player. The way that this is being phrased, one reviewer said, if you believe in highlight reels, then you're getting a top 15 player with the 30th pick in the draft. Denver will probably have to develop him a little bit. There is so little information on him other than the physical aspects. The people who scout, they like his height, they like his build, but he is, quote, the mystery man of the draft. Meanwhile, USC's Isaiah Mobley goes to Cleveland at 49. He is obviously rejoining his brother Evan. The idea behind him is this. They like his intelligence, his basketball acumen, but scouts say he's slow. He ran apparently the slowest time in sprinting at the NBA Draft Combine. So it's a bit of a risk, but it's one that they're willing to take. Freddie Freeman returns to Atlanta. This is what you should know. I'm really passionately disinterested in how Braves fans are going to react to Freddie Freeman returning. I don't care. I mean, I don't care when one player goes. It doesn't matter. I am not an emotional guy. I am more interested in the results. So this is what you should know going into the series. The Dodgers are not firing on all cylinders, but Freddie Freeman sure as hell is. So if you want to put on a show for your old teammates and your old fans, now's the time. Meanwhile, the Braves, people are talking about how the Dodgers are going through a funk. The Braves, if you remember, they went through their funk in May. They were way below 500. Now they are firing on all cylinders. They are trying to chase down the Mets. They're currently 4 games behind New York. What you also should know is Ronald Acuna Jr. was not on the roster when Atlanta came to LA earlier in the year. In that series, LA took 2 of the 3. If there is any heat to this series beyond the fact that both the Dodgers and the Braves are damn fine baseball teams, they've met in the playoffs in the last 2 years each. If there's any heat, it's going to be Acuna versus Freeman. See, when Freeman signed with the Dodgers, Acuna said he wasn't sorry to see Freeman go. Basically, that Freeman was a big meanie to him as a rookie and whatever. Meanwhile, Freeman says he has no issue with Acuna. He doesn't have a problem with the guy. Also, relief pitcher Caleb Ferguson, quote, wasn't too thrilled, unquote, to be going to the injured list, according to manager Dave Roberts. Ferguson, though, said something a little interesting as he went on. He said that he is tired of the miscommunication that's going on. This is a potential red flag, not for Caleb Ferguson, but for Dave Roberts. You have him, you have Justin Turner saying that there was some miscommunication going on. Is it possible that Dave Roberts is losing a little bit of his magic touch? I mean, I could understand why they put him on the injured list. Ferguson came off of Tommy John surgery. He missed the entire last season. You don't expect somebody to just come right back and just fire on all cylinders like that. So yeah, getting left forearm tendonitis kind of makes sense. Going on the injured list makes sense. But you really don't want miscommunication going on in the clubhouse. Lots of Chargers news. Training camp begins July 25th. Some of the practices will be open to the public. Now, also, Mina Kimes of ESPN. I hesitate to judge Ms. Kimes. A lot of people clown female sports writers, and maybe some of them do deserve it. But having said that, when I started in journalism, I worked with one of the first female NFL beat writers, Katie Castator. God rest her soul. Wonderful writer, damn sure knew her football, great woman, loved her to death. So I don't want to just slam all female sports writers when I say this, but she thinks the Chargers ought to pursue Ndamukong Suh. No. You don't want that, in my opinion. It is a bad idea. Suh was with the Rams, sure, when the Rams made their Super Bowl run against the Patriots and lost there. But Ndamukong Suh did not have an impact season with the Rams. He did not really play with, he wasn't noticed until the playoffs started. Now all of a sudden he cares. You could say the same thing about his run with the Buccaneers, in my opinion. So do you really want to have playing time and cash going to a guy who's not going to do much for you until the playoffs? I don't see it. More to the point, Suh's mistakes against the Rams this last playoff actually helped the Rams beat the Buccaneers. He committed a stupid personal foul penalty that actually helped the Rams on what wound up being a critical scoring drive. Matter of fact, Ndamukong Suh, even in his heyday, had the reputation as one of the league's biggest villains. He was constantly getting called out for dirty play. Now, do you really want to gamble on that when he's not in his prime, when he's known for getting a ton of personal fouls in Brandon Staley's defensive scheme? Because Ndamukong Suh, when he's on, is a difference maker. But they don't need that from their defensive tackles. They want their defensive tackles to basically gobble up as many blockers as possible, 2, hopefully 3, so that the linebackers make plays, so that the defensive ends make plays, so that the star position makes plays. You don't need plays to be made from Ndamukong Suh. The Chargers, I don't think, need them. Switching over to offense, Trey Pipkins is aiming for the starting right tackle job. This is the final year of his rookie contract, so he's got to fight for it, and he knows this. He said he was irritated, not with the Chargers, but with himself for lack of playing time. So this last summer, he went to Dallas for a special camp with a guru named Duke Manyweather. The guy specializes in biomechanics. Without going too sciencey on you, what biomechanics is basically about which muscles in the body have to explode off the snap in order to get to the point of attack quicker. In other words, you're not just running and doing this. It's like you're consciously focusing on your glutes and your and your thighs and just firing them immediately to get penetration on the defensive front. The LA Galaxy's match with San Jose at Stanford Stadium has been rescheduled. It was originally supposed to be Saturday. It's now been pushed back to September 24th. Stanford has said that there are power outages caused by wildfires up in the north. It actually, in my opinion, helps LA. They were scheduled to play 8 games in 29 days. If one gets pushed back, so be it. Folks, we got through an absolute ton. If you enjoyed today's broadcast, don't forget to like and subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're trying to build something here for LA sports. Thank you for watching. I'm James. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Have a great day. Bye-bye.